Okay, welcome to the Soul-Led Revolution with me, your host, Yolandi Boshoff, and I am very excited to introduce you to the lovely Katharine Branham today. And she has written an amazing book, How I Found My Superpowers. And Katharine is an acclaimed free-flowing psychic medium. Okay, so Katharine and I have started chatting already, and we've just got so much stuff to share with you guys. So Katharine, please introduce yourself and take a moment to tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, thank you so much, Yolandi, for having me here. I'm so excited. I love my sisters across the pond, my brothers and sisters across the pond. I have so many friends in the UK. So this was so exciting to tell them I was going to be on your podcast. They were so excited. I was raised in Houston, Texas, and I now currently live in the Woodlands. I love fur babies, and I really care about animal rights. So in my time that I'm not teaching spiritual stuff, I enjoy helping rescues and educating people on animals.
Oh.
So yeah, and I enjoy the spiritual side of animals, of what they bring to us, to humanity, the love, the unconditional love.
Oh.
So that's usually what I'll teach about outside of the spiritual stuff.
Oh, fantastic. And so this book of yours, so we were just talking about it before we started recording. So it's How I Found My Superpowers. So tell us a little bit more about this book, what it's all about, and what people can expect when they buy it.
Well, it's an introduction to the spirit world. So I wrote the book because when I would do readings for people, some of them would walk away with the information, and then when it would occur or when they check it out, they would say, "How did you know it?" And I would get that over and over and over for the last 11 years. And even before I started working professionally, I would have neighbors and family members say, "How do you know that?" So the book actually explains every situation that occurred in the beginning steps of how I recognize certain things. So when I would recognize how a spirit would leave the body, I talk about the first experience I saw a spirit leaving the body. And when I first started to notice the energy field and the colors, and how I believe nobody else is, I think, really seeing the colors, it was a feeling that everything was being pointed out. So I would recognize the repeating patterns of certain colors and energy fields, so I would understand what they meant. So I began to understand what anger meant, what happiness meant, what love, the big bubble of love that encompasses a couple. When they're in love, there's a giant pink bubble that encompasses them both. So I know they're both in love. And that's what it all explains. It explains to everyone the steps that I went through. So now they're like, "Oh, now this makes sense." Yeah. So even on the medical level, when I see an illness in the body, I explain how I see things in the body, and usually how much time I see that someone may have, because I read conception to death.
Yes. Okay.
So this is giving them an explanation of what's happened.
Because I think it's like, for me, one of the big things is that, like, people see someone like you and they go, "Oh, like, how do you do it? Like, how does it work?" And then people are experiencing certain things and they might think, "Oh my goodness, I'm going crazy. I don't understand this." And I think that's what I like about this concept, is like that, like, simplistic explanation of like what's actually happening when you're experiencing it. So tell us a little bit more about like when this happened, like how old were you when all of this happened? Like, obviously this has been coming from childhood for you. Just to give us a little bit more insights about that.
Well, in the book, I start the book off at 4 years old, but there were times before that I would see relatives, and an aunt, and I would look at mom and I would say, "She's not going, she's going to be leaving soon. She's going to be going to heaven," because I would begin to see the spirits gather around her, getting ready to take her across.
Yeah.
And so when it would happen, mom would say, "Oh, you made that happen." And I'd say, "No, mom, that they're coming to get her to go across." So I was always kind of seen as like the weird kid so mom actually thought these things I was making happen, when really I'm just watching the cues from the spirit world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the the beginning part of the book where I start off at 4, that's when I really began to realize when I would say something or do something, there were certain triggers from mom that I realized they weren't the same as everyone else that I had known. That I would watch her interact with my brother, or I would watch my aunts interact with my cousins. I knew there was a difference in the way that she treated me.
Oh, oh wow. And I think that trauma also like of like being the outsider and like feeling like that, for me, it's just like it's something so many people have to deal with. And you spoke a little bit earlier before we started this about like the feedback that you're getting from people now about like how this book is actually bringing them so much comfort because they can start recognizing themselves in your words as well.
Oh, yes. And not just that, there were so many people, so many of our brothers and sisters who were raised to believe that their attraction to the same sex was wrong, or perhaps they were ridiculed by their church, not just their family. The book touches on what I see in the energy field and how love is love. No matter who you're with or what gender you're with, love is love. And there's a beautiful encompass of this beautiful pink bubble that comes over a couple that's in love. And it's given a lot of people permission to really feel themselves and not to feel ashamed by what their family put them through or their church put them through. And they've expressed there's been so much healing that's happened in their life. And for me, that made my heart glow, made me so happy.
Totally. And I mean, like, this is why we write books, right? This is like what we do. We want to get this information out there. So, so when you got to the point where you basically decided, I'm okay with being the weird girl, like what changed for you? Because there's so many people in this world who literally they will be forever the weird girl standing in the corner, never actually going, ta-da, look at me. So what was the moment for you when you decided it's okay for people to see me?
It was actually not until I was an adult, because even as an adult, prior to understanding what I could do, and I explained the changes that happen in my life, I would still see as an adult, I'd see neighbors that they were going through, and I would tell them, look, this is what's going to happen. I don't know how I know it. This is, how I experience things. And this was in my early 20s, where neighbors knew, if you want to know something, go ask Catherine. So I would have a neighbor. This happened several times.
Yeah.
I woke up early and there was a neighbor knocking on my door, and she's standing there with her husband that looked very disheveled. And she said, tell her what you did last night. Tell her the story you told me. So I'm standing there going, this is too early in the morning. She said, this will just take a minute. Tell her what you did. So he rambled through his story, and she looked at me and said, is he telling the truth? And so I was able to tell her, this part is true, this part's not true, there's some things missing here. And he was so angry, but I was sort of like the lie detector in the neighborhood, because I was watching the color change in the energy field when they're lying.
Yeah.
And so that couple became a frequent visit to my front door. She would drag him up and say, tell her the story that you're telling me, because I don't believe you. So those kind of situations. And, there wasn't a name for it. She just knew I knew some stuff,
Yeah.
But when I realized what I could do, I actually walked into a store one day, into an herbs shop, and the woman behind the counter looked at me and said, what's taking you so long?
Oh.
And I felt this draw to her. I just wanted, to know more about who she is and why, she said that. And as we began to talk, the next few days, I decided I was going to spend every day with her for several months. And we did. And she said, I know you see colors, and I know you understand the energy field.
Yeah.
And she explained to me that I can go into the body and look for, because she was a nurse for 40 something years, and she was also an intuit. And so doctors would send people to her to have her glance through the body to see if there was anything in the body, because the people they were sending were the people who refused to get into the MRIs. They were refusing other tests. So the doctor would say, rather than just refusing, the test, I understand that, go and talk to this woman. And then if she feels like we need a certain test, will you agree to do it? And the person would often say, yes, of course.
Yeah.
So she began to say, when you look into the body, look further than just the energy field, go into the organ and look at the organ. It's going to take a while to scan the body. And
Yeah.
so that's where the career took off, is I started working just medical intuition for doctors.
Yeah.
And so I would do body charts and body scans. And so when I'd see something, I'd see the cancer at various stages, and I'd be able to say, this is what you need to focus on the test.
Wow. That's
So
incredible.
it was a wonderful experience having to cross her path.
Yeah, yeah. And so meant to be, isn't it? So that was really the turning point then for you to basically step into these gifts of yours.
Yes, and I fought it every step of the way. I thought, I don't want to do it. I am going to sell everything I have and move somewhere and do something different. And it just kept pulling me back in. And it was a very tough road in some of the cases I was having to look at. So it was making me not want to do the work. And then as soon as I felt like, it's kind of like The Godfather. Every time I felt like I just wanted to get out of reading and doing medical health charts and all of that, I would get a call or a letter that said, I changed your life, or I saved their life by telling them to do this one test. And, they had stage 2 colon cancer, but they were able to get it in remission. And so then I'd say, okay, I'll stay in, I'm going to keep going. And then I'd get to the point again, I'd pull out and go, oh, I just can't do this anymore. It's like nightmares and stuff like that. And then I get another letter and it'd pull me back in. And that continued to happen for 11 years straight.
So you're not leaving then? You're going to stay on this run.
I'm not leaving. Yeah, I really feel like this is what I'm here to do. And not just that, but to help other brothers and sisters find their path. Stop looking at the most obvious and sit in your subtle energy of who you are, and allow the universe to bring in the gifts and the people you need. Stop forcing certain people into your life that are not meant to be there, and just allow the people that Creator's bringing to your path to help you.
Yes. And I think for me that is so beautiful, because that's such a big message, isn't it? It's just like that, taking that time to actually, like, you inside of you hold all of this, right? And like you said, it's just like, and things will come as they need to come to you. So you're this huge magnet basically drawing all the beautiful stuff towards you. You just have to start like looking at that. So that for me is so amazing. So when you decided to, what was the big thing that triggered you to write this book? Because I mean, we've all got stories and we can talk, but what finally made you go, this is why I want to write this book? Like what made you put pen to paper basically?
It was actually COVID. Because when COVID started, I had seen COVID coming, and I told several of my clients, and a lot of them, they took it as Bible, when I told them, this is what's happening. Let's get yourself prepared, especially for some of them that lived in very tight-knit cities and countries, so they could get the things they needed.
Yeah.
But it was a series of events. And finally, after the early part of COVID and some of the media happening, they weren't really expressing what was going on. And as I'm reading for medical community and I'm seeing all the tragedy and the horrors of what was happening with people all over the world, I said, it's unbelievable. I had already written so much because I had planned, okay, my children are going to want all this information of everything I've channeled. So I had 3 and 4 foot stacks of nightly channels that Creator would have me channel. Yeah. And so at the book, when I was asked, okay, well, you're going to write this book, I thought, well, I don't know. So what, I turned to God and said, what do I put in here? And everything that is in the book is what He said needs to go in it. It was this, and this, because these are the pertinent stories that people need to know so they could help awaken themselves. Because sometimes it just takes one little word to spark a memory within someone's life and their other lifetimes to go, oh my gosh, I am a Mayan warrior princess or whatever they are, to really find out their gifts. And everybody has them, everybody. And so it depends on, everybody has a certain skill set of what they do. And so just like when I look at you, I see you have this amazing connection to the elemental world. Like you've got a lot of fairies around you. You've got all these like like your angels and your elementals. They're so beautiful. Your connection is it's very much to the air and the sun and just all of it. And everybody has their niche. And so with the book, every story has something that will spark something for them and help them along the way. So when I was first told, yeah, we're going to write this book, you're going to write this book and you're going to publish it. I was like, okay, God, if this is what is meant to be, let it happen. If not, I'm just going to quit everything and I'm going to teach tap dance. I'm going to teach tap dance and I'm going to walk away from doing this because seriously, I've had enough. Like I'm at the breaking point, I'm up there. And, it was like one thing after another. And there was so many synchronicities and it was just like, boom, boom, boom. It was done.
Meant to be.
Yeah. So I'm tapping secretly. I still tap dance secretly. The privacy of my own room.
So when you retire one day, I'll come and visit you. You'll be like tap dancing and having lots of animal rescuing happening on the side as well.
That's it.
So any advice for people around, like, because there's so many fears out there, right? And there's just, I feel like there's a lot of people walking out there and they know there's something. They know there's something in there. They like can feel it, all of that. But then there's always this fear, like people are always scared to show themselves or to be out there. So if you had to give advice to the listeners today and to like how to get through the fear, how to basically step out and go, ta-da, here I am, like I'm embracing my gifts.
Okay, so just to get beyond the fear, because there's so many people that are very young that may be watching this, you first have to ask yourself, what would be the problem with you stepping into your gifts and stepping into your own beliefs? There's no problem because you incarnated into this life for you. You didn't incarnate for your parents. You did not incarnate for your church. You did not incarnate for your community or your culture. You incarnated for you, and your path is so important to everyone else. And the best I can explain it is, in kinder care, whenever the children are holding on to the little rope knots and they're walking along, it's just, that's how humanity is. We're all holding on to this gigantic net that keeps us together. And even though you're in the UK, I'm here, it's like, I know you're my sister. I know that we're here for the light. We're here to be here basking in the shower of the light for all of us. So it is important that no matter what age you are, when it's coming to the time you're ready to walk your spiritual path, or you're ready to ask, why is this happening? There's no wrong time because you're here for you. You have to celebrate you and you have to celebrate who you are, no matter if you think you're the weird kid. Like I was the weird kid, I was the weird kid. And so you have to celebrate that because eventually you're going to find other weird kids that love you and that recognize you as family. And you're never going to be alone. Never.
I love that. That's so beautiful. And that thing, the weird kid, I mean, we should just start a weird kid club or something. Just invite everyone into, because I bet you there's more weird kids than there are not weird kids. People just don't like to say it.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in. So one other thing I also want to say, I'm just like, I'm watching the clock and I'm going, I've got so many questions. So you also told me about your workbook series, and I love the name, The Self-Help Slut. And tell me a little bit more about it. Like, how does it work? What's it all about? Because people can be looking out for that as well coming soon.
Okay, the first book in the series is about clearing your energy field of other people's shit. And it is basically of allowing yourself to separate off who you are and what has been gifted to you in your energy field. So as we go through life, there's things that pile into our energy field, even as small children. Our parents may pile emotions into our energy field that are not ours, or they may put on a cultural belief, which may hinder us regarding our gender, or it may be a church belief. You know, it could be a person that we were closely attached to that really had some formation with how we see ourselves, our view. So a lot of the first book is about clearing that. And it's also about clearing cords to other people who might have formed one to us that it's no longer important because the contract has been served. So the book, when I wrote the workbook, it was not only to help people that are in the spiritual journey, but it was also to help those that have questions of maybe why they feel depressed or why they feel down or why they feel heavy, laden with others' energy when they walk into a room. There's so many of us that you walk into a room and it's like all of a sudden you feel the rush of everyone's energy. So the workbook helps with that. But the workbook, it's not just for male or female, it's for anyone that is wanting to rebuild their energy and restart fresh. Yeah. So in mind, when I first started laying it out, it was for people in rehabs. It was for people in institutions that are maybe incarcerated. It was so they could begin, but there's so much more because it also has so many stories explaining why it's important to clear and how I began to notice what stays in the energy field and what is released. So it walks you through step by step. And it is a book that as you're walking through, it may be something you want to keep private that, you know, as you're making your notes, but I'm super excited about this. And I've had so many people excited because I would put together private workbooks for certain individuals in these type of institutions, and I would send them out.
Yes.
At a certain thickness, you know, whatever the perimeter was for the institution. And now it's amazing because I'm keeping it at that thickness. It's going to be a softback, paperback, and it's going to be able to be distributed in that way. So I'm really excited to have them open it and change.
And this for me, that whole concept, because it's like, you know, we don't get taught how to actually self-analyze. And sometimes what you need is someone to give you an example, and then you can go, oh, now I know what to do. So, I mean, this sounds like the perfect companion to be able to go and sit and like, there you go, here's something that will help you dig deeper into your own being. So it's such an amazing idea. I absolutely love it. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And I also love the fact that it's going to so many different areas and so many people can access it. So that's absolutely beautiful. Oh, that's so exciting.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just, okay, how many minutes have I got left? So I want to ask you, let's quickly talk a little bit about this year and what you're feeling for this year ahead. Because I know, like, I've been following you on Instagram and you speak a lot about like your predictions for the year and all of that. So give us a little bit of insight about like the energies that you feel coming in and where we're going in 2022.
Okay, so for 2022, there's a couple of spots around the world where I see civil unrest, and it's been nightmarish for me, along with some of the natural disasters. So there's several natural disasters this year, and over the last couple of years, while we've been dealing with COVID and this virus, there's going to be a point where that's going to be manageable. The part that we are dealing with civil unrest in certain areas, these are things that sort of needs to happen so the cycle of humanity can get back to what's really important, almost so they can recognize getting upset, fighting, war, acting out. It's not helping anyone. The next will be the natural disasters, because Mother Earth is just, you know, had it up to here with us. And the way that we've treated her body, and we're still, you know, needing to live here. So the natural disasters are coming. So some of the big people that are making decisions for all the rest of us really begin to take it serious. Because some of these people that have been making decisions, they don't care because they think maybe they have, 20 years left on the planet. Maybe they have 10 years left. And then whatever happens after that, God bless. And that's not the way we have to look at it. Because everything that we do, regardless of who we are and what we do for a living, we answer to our higher self for the way we left it. So we want to make sure we honor all the blessings, and that we have gratitude for everything that we're able to have. The clothes on our back, the ground that grew the materials so that we're wearing the garment we want to wear, or the plants that are providing the hair color for us, or lipstick or whatever, to honor everything. So that's what this 2022 is about. It's about realigning the natural energies of Earth. So there's going to be some crazy shifts, but there's a lot of good that comes from it.
Yeah. And it just feels like it's been a long time coming, isn't it? It's like we've kind of been waiting for this to start happening, as our recognition again of our connection with Gaia, and like how important we both are, basically human and her working together. So I love that. Oh, that's so beautiful. In terms of your book and where people can get it, give us a little bit of insight on that. If they want to purchase a copy of your book, where do they get hold of it?
I know there's several places in the UK that are carrying it. It's anywhere books are sold.
Okay, cool.
So you can buy it online or in stores.
Okay. And then if people want to check out your work and have a little bit of a looky, where's the best place for them to connect with you, to follow you on social media? Where are you most active?
I post on TikTok. So I have over 500 and something videos on TikTok on various topics that so many people have asked about. And then I'm also starting a Ask Kat on YouTube, where it's actually longer, because some of the explanations take a little longer to explain than what TikTok's allowing me. Okay. So I'm going to be answering questions that people are posting for me to answer. And then they can always connect with me, like you said, on Instagram.
Okay, that's fantastic. So I'll be posting the Instagram link, and then you guys can look for Katharine on TikTok as well. And then I'm obviously, once you go onto YouTube, the people will be able to follow you there as well. So is there any last words that you'd like to share with the people, just from your side? Anything that you want to share before we close off today?
I would just like to thank you for allowing me this time period, and for the brothers and sisters that have been wondering where they fit in this world and feeling like maybe they're the outcast. You need to flip that view. And for the people that saw you as the outcast, perhaps they are, and you are the ones that are walking the path of light, and to please embrace it. Embrace the beauty of that light.
That's so amazing. Thank you so much. It was so lovely to speak to you. I really appreciate your time as well. And we'll post like all the links, and then you guys can just go and follow Katharine. Her videos are really informative as well. Lots of like energy updates, those type of things, which really helps all of us on a daily basis. So thank you so much. And thanks for your beautiful work and your beautiful book as well.
Thank you so much, Yolandi. I appreciate you.
Cool. And guys, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time again. So thank you so much. Have a good day.